Do you write code?
Here I am telling you how to get control of your mind, and what does your mind do? Quick, quick, bring out the memes. Bring out the memes. Don't listen to what he's saying. Distract everyone. Start counting. Start counting. Oh my god. Oh my god, we have to count. 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 Anything but listening to this. Oh my god. Okay. So currently writing how to overcome escapism. So currently writing this on a break at my job, but I desperately need help. I've been watching Dr. K for the past year now, and every video has been super helpful and eye-opening for me. I've taken it all in and understood that I'm here facing my problems once again, and I want to run away again. My problem is ever since I began working at an early age, I've had difficulty holding a job. As I got older, it got far worse, and I'm worried about being a burden and not being able to take care of myself. I'm currently 26. Before I used to work full day shifts every day I was scheduled and be able to buy the things I wanted and take care of myself. Fast forward to now, I'm deep in debt and can barely stay on the job for more than an hour and quit because my brain just can't handle it. It assigns too much value to gaming and sleeping and hanging with friends on Discord or watching anime. I feel like every time I confront this major issue, I always run away. Thankfully with Amazon, I can quit whenever and join whenever, but I can't keep doing this. I need to start paying my own insurance among myself, and I want to get out of debt. My mind seems to spiral out of control, and I want to run home and be comfortable in my bubble. I managed to survive day one yesterday, but I fear I won't last much longer. All of Dr. K's videos just out my brain, and when I get here. Help. Okay. So this is, unfortunately, a pretty common problem, right? So I'm going to try to summarize what I hear, what I'm sort of picking up from this. So sometimes in life, we feel paralyzed by our minds. So we know that there are things that we have to do. We know we need to like get our stuff in order, right? But despite the fact that like there are things that we know we need to be doing, our mind wants nothing more than to run away from our problems. And so what a lot of people may think is that, okay, if I want to run away from my problems, like, how do I find the root cause of this, right? So a lot of people, this is what we've advocated. So here at HE, what we've advocated is that, you know, if you're struggling to overcome escapism in your life, that you do a lot of introspective work, you dig down really deep and you find the root of it. Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of commitment? Like, what's the deep-rooted fear that you can kind of fix to overcome this escapism? And so I think that's really useful, but I think that sometimes if you're in this situation, the best thing to do is not actually to try to overcome the emotional root of escapism, but to try to fix the root cause of it. And so I think that's really useful, but I think that sometimes if you're in this situation, the best thing to do is not actually to try to overcome the emotional root of escapism, but to try to fix the root cause of it. And so I think that's really useful, but I think that sometimes if you're in this situation, the best thing to do is not actually to try to overcome the emotional root of escapism, But the best thing to do is actually learn how to train your mind. So let's take a quick look at this, okay? So what I want y'all to like first start by looking at is, you know, and this happens to everyone, right? So our mind doesn't always work for us. And this is what makes life really, really hard, is that our mind isn't working for our benefit. It has its own goals and aspirations and desires, and then we can get super stuck because we have particular goals and desires, and our mind has particular goals and desires, and we're not working towards the same thing. So as long as our mind is not working for us, life is like super, super hard. You're kind of handicapped because there's a major, you know, component, part of your body, your mind. There's a part of your being that is supposed to be used for your benefit, which is kind of off and doing whatever it wants to. And like I said, sometimes the solution to that is to go into the mind and try to fix something on deep inside the mind so that the mind starts functioning properly. And sometimes the solution is actually not to like fix the mind, but to get control of the mind. So even if the mind is afraid of escape, afraid of consequences, afraid of failure, wants to escape, we can actually control it and tell it to do what we want it to do. So I'm going to take a quick look at this post and we'll just sort of notice this, okay? So I've taken it all in and understood it, but here I am facing my problems once again, and I want to run away. So my problem is that I've had difficulty holding a job, right? So that, like, what does that exactly mean? Like, what's going on in your mind? I used to work full shifts and be able to buy the things that I wanted and take care of myself, but now I can't. I'm deep in debt, can barely stay on the job for more than an hour, and quit because my brain just can't handle it. This is a sign of your mind or your brain controlling you as opposed to the other way around. And this person has even had some amount of insight, right? It assigns too much value to gaming and sleeping and hanging with friends on Discord or watching anime. So this is like where this person is noticing, and this is awesome because this is what we want from our community, right? We want you to notice what your mind is doing. But every time I confront this major issue, I always run away. Right? And then this person goes on to say, thankfully I can quit whenever I want to and join whenever, but I can't do this. This is not something to be thankful for, right? So you found a job at Amazon that can tailor to the desires of your escapist mind. So you've even structured a life for yourself that allows you to be escapist, right? Because then you what does your mind tell you? It says, oh, there's no real consequence of quitting this job, right? I can get it back whenever I want to. So we can procrastinate today. You can just quit today. You could take a week off playing games and watching anime and things like this, and then I can just get the job next week. And so in a weird way, this job is almost like enabling your escapist mentality, right? And so we have to be super careful about what we're grateful for. But of course you're grateful for it because you're like, oh, like now I don't actually have external consequences that force me to action. And if I don't have external consequences that force me to action, then I can continue like sort of being escapist, and it's like not that big of a deal, right? And so my mind seems to spiral out of control, and I want to run home and be comfortable in my bubble. So normally when I take this kind of, when I look at this kind of post, I would talk about things like, oh, you know, where's the source of your escapism? What's going on? We can maybe do that down the road. But what I really want to talk to y'all, today about today is getting control of your mind. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but like we don't actually control our mind, right? So our mind kind of does what it wants to. Like, for example, I have patients who have OCD, so obsessive compulsive disorder. And their mind will produce all kinds of thoughts that they don't want. So our mind values particular things. It tells us to stay away from particular things. It does all kinds of stuff that, you know, like isn't necessarily under our control. And so one of the key things that I want to share with y'all today is how to get control of your mind. And because this is something that it's kind of weird, but just in the same way that you can train your fingers to play piano, or you can train your palate to, you know, taste different things, or you can train your legs to be able to run, or your cardiovascular system to be able to run. You can even, there are people who are free divers, right, that will train their body to hold their breath for like 10 minutes at a time. So we can train all manner of different parts of ourselves, and one of the things that we really don't get taught how to train is our mind. So what I'm going to share with you guys today is nothing about like sort of fixing the internal part of the mind. So let's say here's our mind, and in the mind there's something, you know, there's something bad in here. This is the fear of escapism down here. And so what a lot of times what we try to do at Healthy Gamer is we try to teach you, okay, how do I take that fear of escapism and kind of solve it within the mind so that I'm no longer controlled by that fear. Whereas instead what we're going to work on today is we're not going to do anything inside the mind. We're going to learn how to control it from the outside, right? So we're going to learn how to get our mind into shape. And it can think whatever it wants to on the inside. It can have OCD in here. It can have depression in here. It can have escapism in here. It can have whatever you want in here. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but like I've even had success with this, especially with psychosis and psychotic disorders. So these are people like, for example, with schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, and they're hallucinating, they're delusional. And what we sort of discovered in psychiatry is you can't like really fix the delusion inside the mind, or it's very difficult to. So when I'm sort of working with patients who have psychosis or are delusional, instead of trying to fix the thing inside the mind, what I train them to do is get control of the mind as a whole, okay? So then the question becomes, okay, how do you get control of the mind as a whole? And so this is something that I've steered a little bit clear of, but I honestly think it's like one of the most useful concepts that I've ever learned. The reason I've steered clear from it is because I don't have good scientific support for it, so I tend to steer clear of some of the more spiritual ideas that are not scientifically supported, but, you know, I think it's the best answer. So what I'm going to share with you all today is the idea of the gunas. So in the yogic conception of the world, there are 3 gunas or qualities. And those are tamas, rajas, and sattvas. It's kind of weird, but what the yogis did in ancient India is basically classify all things into these 3 buckets. So these are the fundamental qualities. So tamas is that which is inert, slow, dull. Okay, rajas is that which is active, passionate, dynamic. And sattvas is balanced, calm, kind of equilibrium. So I know it sounds kind of weird, but they just sort of said if you look at all manner of things, you can basically divide them into these 3 qualities. So they looked at things like food. So some foods will lead to inertness, slowness, or dullness. Some foods will be active, like engage passion, or will make you more dynamic, and some foods will make your mind like calm and balanced and like sort of help you attain equilibrium. And so if you look at the diets of monks, so like the monk diet, doesn't really matter where you are, right? So like you can look at Catholic monks, you can look at Buddhist monks, you can look at Hindu monks. Essentially all of them are going to have a more sattvic diet. So there are foods that we can eat that will sort of encourage this kind of thing. But it's not just foods, because you could look at like discussions on the internet, right? So there are going to be some communities which are going to push their, so let's talk about communities. So there are some communities which are going to lead to inertness in your life, right? So like if you hang out with these people, they're going to make you feel kind of like dull and inert, like your life is going to be like sort of a blur. There are some communities that will make you feel active and passionate, right? So like politically active communities, you know, regardless of what you kind of agree or disagree with, but like if you look at protesters, right? So protesters are not balanced and calm. They're like very active and passionate and dynamic and, you know, things like that. So like there's some communities that will make you dull and inert. Some things will sort of activate you and sort of engage your passion. And some things will sort of calm you down and sort of like help you attain balance and equilibrium, right? So there's like, it's kind of weird, but they sort of like looked at the world and they were like, okay, these are the 3 buckets of stuff. And so if you're someone who's kind of stuck in your life, like can't get control of your mind, what we really want you to do is move from tamas to rajas first and rajas to sattvas eventually. I'm not going to go into too much more detail, but this is sort of like the goal of what we're trying to do here, okay? So then the question is, okay, so how do I get control of my mind? So now we're going to get to how to control it, okay? So what we're going to do is kind of a linear process where we're going to start with one thing that will enable us to do the other thing, which will enable us to do the next thing. So the first thing is if you want to, your mind wants, so here's you and here's your mind. And you guys fight, right? So, and this is something, in order to overcome your mind, you need something called willpower. So the first question is, how do I get willpower, right? Like, what's something that I can do to improve my willpower? So they did a really interesting study, I don't remember the citation, where they looked at teenagers in high school and looked at their sugar consumption. And what they essentially found is that how unhealthy teenagers eat is influenced by lots of different things, right? So your environment and things like that. But there's one variable which is quickly changeable, which will almost instantly alter your dietary habits. Can anyone guess what's the one thing that you can do to eat healthier? Anyone know? It's not availability. Ah, very good. Sleep. Excellent. Okay? So, willpower is a diminishing resource. That's number one. We know this, okay? So if you guys have heard me talk about the beet versus cookie study, so I'll quickly explain this study. I won't go into too much detail. So a group of psychologists basically wanted to measure willpower. And what they did is they took two participants, so group number 1 and group number 2. And in group number 1, they were in a waiting room, and they put a tray of boiled beets in front of them. And in the other group, they put a tray of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. And the people were given the explicit instruction, you are not allowed to eat this. This is for the people, there's like a party after we're done with this research study, so we're just like putting this stuff in the room. You cannot eat it, no eating, okay? So thankfully no one was a degenerate and ate it anyway. So everyone followed the instructions, but then the real test came afterward. So afterward they go into a room and they're faced with an impossible task. And they basically saw how long until people like gave up to on the task. So like how much willpower could they exert to force themselves into the situation? And what they found is that the willpower was lower with the cookie group than it was with the beet group. Okay? And so what they sort of essentially concluded, and based on this there have been other studies that have been done, is that like when you're resisting the cookies, you're actually burning your willpower resource. And then you kind of run out of willpower faster than other people. Okay? So where does willpower, how do we regenerate it? We regenerate it with sleep. So if you want to control your mind, the first thing, the most important thing that you can do is sleep. Okay? So quick tips, we had a whole lecture on sleep recently. I think it was even like close to 2 hours or something. So definitely go watch that. But I would say, the key thing to remember is waking up is easier than going to sleep. Because you can force yourself to wake up, right? And then you can have caffeine if you really need it, that's okay. And then you kind of spend your day just kind of chilling or whatever. Wait until you're exhausted at night, and then, you can fall asleep. So I like to also have a heavy meal before sleep. We're going to teach you guys a technique called Shavasana today, is meditation. And then the other thing that you can do before sleep is audiobook, helps a lot. Right? There's other things like weighted blankets, etc. But the first thing that you've got to do is get your sleep under control. And I don't mean sleep perfectly every single day. I mean that the more you can improve your sleep, the more willpower you're going to have. And the more willpower you're going to have, the easier it's going to be to do number 2. So now you've slept, let's say like you work on it for like 3 or 4 days. You're able to sleep 1 more hour per night that's like more restful. Like, we're not saying you have to fix everything, but it's tough for like a couple days. You get into the routine, so just start with sleep. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is food. So what the yogis sort of discovered is that the simplest way to have a more balanced mind, a less tamasic mind, and by the way, giving into escapism is like a tamasic mind, right? So what do I mean by that? It means that the escapist mentality leads to dullness and inertness. It moves you to inaction. So you're just sitting at home playing video games instead of working, right? So what we want to do is like remove tamas from our life. So if you have motivational problems, the less tamasic you become, the better off you're going to be. Okay? I use this a lot in clinical practice, but there's not good science behind it. There's some good science actually. There's some science, but it's a little bit of a stretch. So adjust your food, okay? So this is where, like, now that we have a little bit more willpower, hopefully what we can do is make like a couple of healthier choices. I'm not saying go paleo. I'm not saying go keto. You can do that if you want to and you're able to. But there's a lot of stuff that we can do for food that will actually make our mind like much more light, airy, and like able to work, okay? So here's just a couple of things. So move from cola to seltzer. So we don't need that added sugar and stuff. I'm not saying you can't have a cola from time to time, but in general, if you regularly consume soda, I'd say make the shift to seltzer. So what I found when trying to help people overcome like soda addiction, basically, is that the bubbles, so like anytime you're trying to overcome an addictive behavior, you have to understand that overcoming the addictive behavior involves multiple components. So when I'm trying to help people with smoking cessation, it turns out that cigarettes are addictive for 3 reasons. Okay, number 1 is the nicotine. This everyone is aware of. But here's the problem. Here's where people trip up. They don't realize that nicotine or cigarettes are addicted for more reasons than nicotine, right? So the second thing is that it gives people a break. So people who smoke cigarettes will take like smoke breaks. And this is a huge part of like why like cigarettes are so addictive, is like you step out of your office, like you step outside, you like spend 5 minutes just like chilling, relaxing, kind of like having fun. Sometimes it's also a source of like socialization, right? So like you and your coworkers go out for a smoke break. That's a huge part of the advantage of a cigarette. The other thing that's kind of interesting.
5 seconds left. This is where you win.
Getting in s'mores.
We got this one in the bag.
Where'd you get a bag?
Prepare for battle.
Yes.
Friend! Hello, friend! I like your moves. I like your style. Friend! Hello, friend!
As needed. We gave you a head start. Seconds to showtime!
Yes.
I always wanted to see an ancient fall. Yes. Don't make me come over there.
Ready to strike. Good idea. I'm not ready. Onward. We agree.
Courier's dead. Wonder what it
Without delay.
absolutely perfect.
Let us know. We see. We understand. There.
Ogre?
We rush.
Okay, dude. Ogre. I don't know what you're doing, Ogre.
Quickly. We move. These woods will be soaked to the root in blood.
So good though, so good.
Left standing.
It ain't over till the last building falls. So fight!
It's not time yet. Good idea. Around the rears. They cannot.
Radiant's courier has been killed. Too stupid to live, too beautiful
will.
to die.
Forward. We move.
will. We will. We understand. We agree. Onward. Radiant's courier has been killed. Simple. Yes. Pretty manageable. We rush. They're trying to knock down your middle tower.
Thank you.
Rally the troops and get over there!
Thank you, thank you.
Absolutely perfect.
We see. Into battle.
Surprisingly good.
Are you even watching your top tower?
Suck it. Thank you.
We will. We must. Forward. We will take it.
Absolutely perfect.
Fuck yeah.
Top tower under attack. Top tower needs some help. Easy. called in the fortification.
We march.
Simple. We move. We will. Swamp.
Absolutely perfect.
Oh, there better be something important going on.
Wonders. Takes the lives.
The middle tower is under attack. Outile.
Okay.
Quickly. We rush. We see.
Take your joy, concealed.
Look, the enemy attack the middle tower. Oh, enemy's got yes. Chase this. We will. Now.
Absolutely perfect.
You better puff on over to your bottom tower. We move. Cannot hide. We will. Onward. We rush.
Any farm engines?
you ask me.
We march.
This is the work of
Absolutely
guys.
perfect.
Guy is doing that glowing thing. There, not to do it till that's done.
Forward. East. Set things to right. We will. Now.
If your mid-tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you.
Swarm. Good idea. We understand.
Your middle tower's under attack.
Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad.
Absolutely perfect.
As needed. We understand.
Ah, good lordy lad.
Enemy's middle tower just bit the dust.
Check for him, but I don't think it's worth going. I have no TP. No TP on me, guys.
Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad. What, a job or something? Your bottom tower is under attack. Your bottom tower is under attack.
No need to fight, guys. No need to fight.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Yes.
You better puff on over to your bottom tower. Your bottom tower has fallen.
Good idea.
If you guys fight by the towers, I can always TP them. Okay. If you like there, you see what I mean? Like under towers is good for me.
Held your feet to the fire.
Как же это сочно! Ах!
Minions churches are fortified. Probably stop that.
Bot lane.
Of Tarask.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Lina, why are you not player team?
Selfish.
We will. We see. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you. Quickly. Smart play. Yes. Your bottom tower is under attack. This is one of the things in the back. As ordered.
TP on Uga. And my TP's on its way, I'll be there soonish. I'm on my way, but it's dead. It's down.
Your top tower has fallen.
Как же это сочно! Ах!
We rush. Without delay. We move.
get out, I think. Yeah, just chill. Fall back, Dina. Fall back.
We come for you. We feel the rush. Forward.
Absolutely perfect.
You better pop on over to your brother.
Bot lane.
Yes. Decoy. Yes. Easy. There. Onward. Our Manta style. As ordered. Good idea. East. Without delay. For victory. We rush. East. You better puff on over to your bottom tower.
Okay, don't chase. We got people behind.
Yes. Hunt. Radiant structures are fortified.
Absolutely perfect.
Your bottom tower has fallen. Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad. Change bottom tower's gone.
They're on their way. They're on their way.
Challenge. There.
Absolutely perfect.
Как же это сочно! Ах!
The top tower needs some help. Top tower is under attack.
Okay, I'm gonna push. You guys can go.
Demolish.
going base. Like guys, look at base. Okay. It's like really hard to play this now. They're all alive. Get out.
We move. You rush. We will.
Welcome to the secret shop.
As needed. Decoy. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Your middle tower's under attack. Your middle tower has fallen. Prepare it to lose.
Absolutely perfect.
To the power of the moon.
An amazing thing. Got one less middle tower now, by the way. Your middle tower's under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
What can we do?
We march. Forward. Now. As ordered. Good idea. We see. Ocean is falling to the tide. We will. For victory. Yes. We will. For victory. Now. As needed. Onward. East. Simple. We march. Cannot hide. Good idea. engine is under attack!
Absolutely perfect!
Look at yourself, worrying about music licensing. What you need is an Artlist subscription.
Number 8. Unnamed New Jersey woman. In June of 2017, a woman was distracted by her cell phone and fell through open doors in the sidewalk on a street in Plainfield, New Jersey. As shown by surveillance footage that was widely circulated online, the unnamed 67-year-old woman was looking at her phone while walking down Somerset Street towards one of 2 basement access doors. According to the police, they'd been left open due to a gas line repair that was being performed in the area. The woman ran into the door, then fell over it, nearly 6.5 feet into the basement. She was helped by workers and subsequently taken to the hospital, but her injuries were reported as non-life-threatening. Her son, who also chose to remain nameless, told a media outlet that the woman was legally blind and a diabetic. He reported feeling fortunate that she hadn't been killed in the fall, while also mentioning that she'd been feeling ill and had briefly checked the time on her phone prior to plummeting through the opening. Number 7. Rianne Mayfield. A woman from Chesterfield, Virginia was left with a 2-inch gash in her forehead after she was struck by a cell phone while on a roller coaster in 2018. On June the 10th, Rianne Mayfield was riding the Twisted Timbers attraction at the King's Dominion amusement park for the first time. She suddenly saw a black object flying towards her, but couldn't identify what it was before she felt the impact of it hitting her in the head. Mayfield then felt something warm cover her face, which she quickly came to realize was blood. She could reportedly tell by the reactions of those around her that her injury was severe. Mayfield had been struck in the forehead by a cell phone which a man on the roller coaster had failed to properly secure in his pocket. The speed of the ride had turned the loose item into a dangerous projectile. The device's owner reportedly came up to Mayfield and apologized in the immediate aftermath, but she didn't get his name in the commotion, and it's unclear if he faced any legal repercussions for the incident. The woman received several stitches to her forehead and was left with a permanent scar following a painful recovery process that included weeks of headaches. A spokeswoman for the amusement park claimed that there were signs in place informing prospective riders that all loose articles must be fully secured at all times or stored. Mayfield was subsequently reimbursed for her season pass to the park, and new signs were placed in front of the Twisted Timbers stating that absolutely no cell phones were permitted on it. Number 6. Rosemary Ann Charsky. The Washington County Sheriff's Office in Oregon told a media outlet that their first shooting call of 2020 had come only minutes into the new decade at 12:06 a.m. Rosemary Ann Charsky of Bethany was subsequently taken into custody for shooting into her neighbor's bedroom. The 35-year-old woman, who was seen smiling in one of her processing photos, had reportedly accidentally discharged a handgun into her smartphone. The bullet cut clean through the device, rendering it inoperable, and then through Ann Charsky's wall before ending up in her neighbor's apartment. Fortunately, no one was hurt, as the room was empty at the time, and Charsky's bail was set at $1,000 after she was charged with recklessly endangering and unlawful use of a weapon. It's unclear what she'd been doing leading up to the shooting, but based on the bullet's trajectory, deputies believed she'd been holding the cell phone in a selfie-like position. The authorities also suspected intoxicants had been a factor in the incident. Number 5. Natasha Boggs. On May the 28th of 2017, an Ohio woman who was allegedly distracted while driving plowed into 3 teenagers after losing control of her car. 24-year-old Natasha Boggs, whose son was in the back seat of her 1999 Ford Escort, drifted over the fog line on South Main Street in Coventry Township. She struck the teenagers, who were reportedly walking along the stretch of the road which didn't have sidewalks. Amber Toma of Coventry Township and Taylor Galloway of Akron were both killed in a crash, while a teenage boy suffered broken bones and severe head injuries. Boggs tried to help them in the immediate aftermath. According to prosecutors, she later returned to her car and began deleting text messages off her cell phone. The case against her was largely built around the idea that she'd been texting and driving. While the evidence didn't directly confirm that accusation, it was clear that she'd sent and received texts prior to the 911 call she'd placed. Boggs denied texting behind the wheel and claimed that she'd actually been distracted by her son. While booked at the Summit County Jail, however, she told her mother that she might have fallen asleep. The woman had taken prescribed methadone earlier in the day, but investigators reported that she hadn't been under the influence. Boggs eventually pleaded guilty in March of 2018 to 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 1 count of vehicular assault, and 1 count of attempted tampering with evidence. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Number 4. Fire on Air Canada flight. In 2018, a passenger's phone caught fire while it was charging on an Air Canada flight from Toronto to Vancouver. The aircraft had not yet taken off from Pearson International Airport when the incident occurred. Passengers at the front saw black smoke rising from a few rows back, and before long, a number of people on the aircraft began screaming and jumping out of their seats. Talking to CTV Toronto, passenger Brandon Scott described the fire as a small campfire-sized flame. The crew was able to put it out while firefighters were called to investigate and clear the scene, ultimately delaying the flight for over 2 hours. The unnamed woman, whose phone had erupted in flames, suffered first-degree burns but was able to walk off the aircraft unassisted. Kathy Boot, another passenger, would report that she'd seen her attempt to stomp out the fire. The make and model of the cell phone wasn't specified, but the incident is believed to have been sparked by manufacturing defects in its lithium-ion battery. Number 3. Anjanette Marie Missette. Florida woman Anjanette Marie Missette sparked outrage in May of 2018 through her mugshot, which showed her widely grinning after she'd instigated a car crash that would ultimately result in a woman's death while driving her 2011 Chevrolet Avalon on US Highway 27 in Orlando. Missette failed to brake in time and smashed into a Hyundai Elantra. The second car was being driven by 18-year-old Cheyenne Kroll and 60-year-old Sandra Clarkson. Her mother was in the passenger seat. The powerful impact sandwiched the Elantra between the tractor-trailer in front of it and the Avalon, which had rear-ended it. Kroll walked away with minor injuries, but Clarkson was left in critical condition. She was rushed to the Orlando Regional Medical Center, where she underwent several surgeries. The woman ultimately passed away 3 days later after being rendered paralyzed and brain dead by the collision. By her own admission, Missette had lost control of her car because she'd been distracted after dropping her cell phone. Additionally, her blood alcohol was found to have been double the legal limit. The woman's smiling mugshot went viral, and many, including Clarkson's grieving family, argued that it displayed Missette's complete lack of remorse for her actions. After the woman's charges were upgraded to manslaughter, a new mugshot was taken showing her with a grimmer expression. She ultimately apologized in court to the victim's family, pleaded no contest, and was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Today's topic was requested by Ethan Rawlins, Shortcake 4509, Mr. Roo, and Adjusted 202. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we may request your full attention, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to win a Mercedes-Benz S580.
Number 2. Evgenia Shulatieva. 26-year-old Russian woman Evgenia Shulatieva succumbed to a massive electric shock in September of 2019 in an accident involving a cell phone. Shulatieva's lifeless body was found by her mother Vera in the bathroom of her home in the town of Kirovo-Chepetsk. Vera had become worried after failing to reach her daughter on the phone. An investigation determined that while the young woman was taking a bath, her cell phone had fallen into the tub. It's unclear if Shulatieva had been using it at the time, but the device was connected to a charger and plugged in an outlet. As explained by Yuri Agrafonov, head of the radio electronic department of Irkutsk State University, water is a good conductor which allowed the current to pass from the 220-volt outlet and cause a short circuit. On their own, cell phones operate on voltages that are generally considered too low to pose a danger. Shulatieva died of electrocution within minutes of the charging device making contact with the water. Her passing was another in a series of similar incidents which had recently occurred in Russia, including the death of prominent poker player Lilia Novikova and martial arts champion Irina Rybnikova. Number 1. Attack on Gu Ping Han. In late August of 2021, a New York City Uber driver suffered a severe eye injury after he'd refused an illegal street hail in Manhattan. 45-year-old Gui Ping Han, a Chinese immigrant, was stopped at a red light when an unidentified man gestured to get his attention and demanded the driver give him a ride. Han declined and tried to explain that he couldn't take him as a customer. Only yellow medallion taxis were allowed to pick up street hails in the city, meaning that Han would have been breaking the rules by accepting the ride. The driver's window was rolled down at the time as he'd been airing the car out after a previous customer had reportedly been smoking marijuana inside. Without warning or provocation, the man who'd tried to hail him used his cell phone as a weapon and struck Han in the face. The device's edge severely damaged Han's right eye, causing him to suffer a detached retina. The driver was a sole provider for his wife and son, a 22-year-old student, both of whom were still in China. He was left unable to work. Han went to a hospital where staff reportedly told him that he should have the eye taken out because there was no chance he'd regain his vision. A month after the attack, he still wore a bandage over his eye, which was still swollen. Han remained hopeful and told a media outlet, "If I became disabled, it would put my family in trouble." Dashcam footage from Han's car, which was released by the authorities, remained the main form of evidence towards identifying the masked suspect, but according to updates on the matter, no arrests have been made. Thanks for watching. Cell phone service or running water? Which would you rather live without for a month? Let us know in the comments section below.
Have you ever imagined what you could do without lag? You can make glorious plays. So you can destroy your enemy. You can win. Get rid of lag and let your skill do the talking. It's time to sign Exit Lag and be feared on the server.
Me first!
Prepare for battle!
Bags are of little consequence in the expanse of the cosmos.
Come on! Okay. Let's go north!
No, south.
My turn!
Let me through.
Ow! Seconds to showtime.
My friend, this is truly in the bag.
I love watching him skip around out there. Guess we better.
Yep. Why then?
Who knows? When the horn blows, the blood flows. Good idea. What, it ain't started already?
I thought it started.
It's not time yet.
Guess we better.
Yep.
Running's not as fun as hitting.
Not one bit fun.
Thank you.
What are we laughing about? I saw a thing.
Okay.
I'll do legs this time.
Okay. When can I hit something?
Who's stopping you?
No, me! After you.
Thank you. Yep.
I have no mana.
Hit them.
Ow! Nope. Get going!
Order. This way.
That away!
I've got no mana. I just want to regen a little. I can pull the next wave.
I saw a thing.
Huh?
I'm watching in case.
Let's go north!
No, south. Let me through.
Ow! Out of my way!
Hey.
I think you should focus on getting the XP in lane.
Ow!
Okay. Guess we better.
Yep.
Hit them.
Ow!
After you.
After you!
Good idea.
Cause it was mine. You go first. I'll do legs this time. Double take.
Give it back! When can I hit something? Is that squirrel?
Come on. That's way better.
Yep.
Yep. Me first. My turn.
This way!
That away.
Running's not as fun as hitting.
Not one bit fun.
Me too. Yep. Where's that funny light to?
Okay.
Hitting stuff is fun.
Let's go. Good idea.
Cause it was mine.
You're doing good.
I saw a thing.
Huh?
When can I hit something? Is that a squirrel?
Come on. I'll do legs this time.
Okay.
Good idea.
Cause it was mine.
Pop it. Sold.
Okay. Let me through.
Ow!
Let me.
Help me! Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower. Don't let him do it! Me first. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Yep.
Yup.
Rally the troops and get over there!
Why there?
Who knows?
That's what. This way.
That away!
Lol. Don't die, don't die. We got the carry.
Not one bit fun. Let's go north! Cause it was mine.
Piece of shit.
One?
I'm level 6 already as a pos 5.
Guess we better.
Running so much fun is hitting.
Not one bit fun.
This way.
That's away. Let's go north.
Go south.
Me first.
Go, 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 go.
No, the sniper is here.
Is that a squirrel?
Oh, come on.
Don't mind if I do. You go first.
We can suppose that is okay.
That should help. What are we laughing about?
I'm trying to come.
We can't see.
Nah.
Dire's putting up a barricade. Radiant structures are fortified.
Will you come? Oh my god.
Enemy's middle tower just turned into a pile of rocks.
Let me through. Good idea.
Cause it was mine.
Yep.
Yep.
Something.
Stopping you.
What are we laughing about?
Good idea.
Cause it was mine.
I'll do legs this time. Okay. Your bottom tower is under attack.
He said hey!
Your bottom tower is under attack.
City bottom, city bottom.
I got no CPs, on its way.
What the
Like
fuck?
that, man. Not like that. What is that?
I saw a thing.
Will you come? Oh shit. Give it to me, give it to me.
My turn.
That's mine again.
We got your number.
Hit the road.
Ow!
Thank you.
You would.
Should I go middle or should I come bot, guys?
Talk, it'd be pretty mad at you. Good idea. Your middle tower is under attack. Trying to knock down your middle tower.
Come on, David, come.
Odie, go, Odie, go.
Will you come?
Hey, don't sleep. Hello.
What should we do
You're
with
fucking
that?
sleeping.
What are we laughing about?
Your middle tower's under attack.
That's the right there.
Who knows?
Versus having free game, guys. Just chill. Just chill. We winning.
Blood and bone.
It was skill, alright.
Pure skill.
I tried to give. Oh.
Radiant called me to fortification. Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad. Dig in and defend that sucker.
I was meant to have this.
When I hit something,
Stopping you. Out of my way. No, me. Guess we better.
I'm gonna stack ancients.
is that a squirrel?
Come on.
The Legion is great.
The spirits of the moons.
Oh my god!
That's good to see how the team's felt.
Let me through.
Ow. Get away.
Born from
Get away.
ligaments. Meat hangs from the bone.
After you.
Dire stretches a fort.
Is that a squirrel?
Enemy top towers. Good idea.
Coated with mud.
I'll do legs this time.
Okay.
Out of my way.
Hey!
The mad lion sings its mad.
Because it was mine. Who's stopping you? That is career in it. It's tough out there. Career is just trying to make a living.
Mindless to the power of blood. You are thy story written
Let's go north.
No,
Let him rampage, let him rampage. Oh, he's
Go
dead.
through the switch.
This part. Guess we better.
I'm following, I'm coming. You can kill easy.
why there?
Who knows?
I saw a thing.
Huh?
Running straight. Guess we better. Where that bloody light come from?
You go first.
Go through the switch.
Place their trust in me. I'll do legs this time.
Sings its melody.
Why there?
Who knows?
Do this for eternity.
Guess we better.
Yep. When can I hit something?
Enemy middle tower has
I
fallen.
saw a thing.
Aye. Oh my god.
Как же это сочно!
This way.
That's away.
Sings its mad song.
Radiant structure. This is one of the things in the back. Not one bit fun.
Okay, guys. So do I go Dagon or do I go what's it? Sheepstick. Those are the only options you get.
Go for Dagon.
Dagon. Okay.
I saw a thing.
Lives will always want the dead.
No! Friend! Hello, friend! I like your moves. I like your style.
Enemy's middle barracks has fallen. The top tower is under attack.
A loss so small, the world will hardly notice.
Here comes Dyer's fucking little cutter. Oops, it's dead.
An invisible.
Oh well.
Do you love me?
I'll do legs this time.
Okay.
Be John, mindless to the power of the moon.
Out of my way. Yep.
Yep. When his noise run is hit,
A loss so small, the world will hardly notice.
Best thing about the enemy's top tower is it's gone.
Well played, team. Leave this guy alone.
I'm sorry. One more dive, guys. One more dive. We can do it. We can do it. Good job, guys. It was fun.